is, there's not nearly been enough evidence that has been acquired as to whether or not it is a gateway drug. It's a debate.
That is presidential candidate Joe Biden demonstrating his antiquated views on marijuana legalization. He was speaking before the Democratic Party, well, not the Democratic Party, but in front of voters in Las Vegas. This is during a town hall. And he was asked about marijuana legalization. Let's see what he had to say in its entirety.
Has your stance on recreational marijuana changed? And my second question is, do you mind signing a poster for me and my mom?
I'll be happy to sign a poster when this is over. And no, it hasn't changed. I think states should be able to make a judgment to legalize marijuana. I agree with, I think that's okay. But let me tell you, the truth of the matter is, there's not nearly been enough evidence that has been acquired as to whether or not it is a gateway drug. It's a debate. And I want a lot more, before I legalize it nationally, I want to make sure we know a lot more about the science behind it. It is not irrational to do more scientific investigation to determine, which we have not done significantly enough, whether or not there are any things that relate to whether it's a gateway drug or not. I don't know enough to know whether it is, although I've done a great deal of work on the drug side of this issue.
So rest assured, Joe Biden, I have done extensive research on this myself, and it is not a gateway drug, okay? But more importantly, he was vice president for 8 years. He was a senator for a long time before that, and the president that he served under admitted to smoking pot when he was in college. So was he like shooting up heroin immediately after that? Was that a gateway drug for him? This is such a stupid conversation. And let me just note that one of the reasons why there haven't been as many studies on marijuana that would maybe appease him, it's been a Schedule I drug, which means that as a Schedule I drug, it is recognized at the federal level as something that has absolutely no medicinal value. It's there with some of the hardest drugs imaginable, classified as one of the hardest drugs imaginable. And so if you really wanted more research into it, why didn't you declassify marijuana so scientists can do research into it? Come on.
Yeah, so Biden's wrong on 3 counts here. First of all, the 1980s called, they'd like their talking points back.
Yeah, for real.
Gateway drug, we're still having that conversation? Jesus Christ, this guy's stuck in molasses. Okay, and number 2 is, you brag all the time about Obama, everything, noun, verb, Obama with Biden, right? Okay, well, Obama and Biden for 8 years could have moved it off of Schedule I, which is not remotely controversial. That doesn't mean it becomes legal or even decriminalized. It just means you can study it. You actively chose not to study it. At the end, Obama could have at least moved it off of Schedule I. I mean, that is the bare minimum, and they would not do it. Oh no, we have to be more conservative Democratic country. No, the country, even at that point, was already majority in favor of drug legalization. Now it's like 2/3 of the country, and Biden's still stuck in the 1970s, war on drugs. Gateway drug. No, we couldn't study it because of you. But point number 3 is just as important. Look, the press has done a terrible job in explaining this, with the excellent exception of The Intercept, who explained the story in fuller detail than I knew. So great work by The Intercept on that one. It turns out Biden was more conservative than Ronald Reagan and kept pushing him to do the war on drugs. And even Reagan was like, whoa, Biden, Jesus, you're okay, take it easy, okay? So read The Intercept story on it. And yes, journalists, you might want to do some investigations of Joe Biden. He's been in the race a million years. By the way, I also fault the progressive candidates. Why don't you point out Joe Biden is the godfather of the war on drugs? Pushed Reagan to do it over and over and over again. So if there's one person responsible for the war on drugs in this country, probably more than anyone else, it's actually Joe Biden. So now he's saying, if I become president in the year 2021, he's still debating whether it's a gateway drug. No, just say no to Joe.
I totally agree. I got to go to this next clip because he also talks about how states have legalized it for recreational use. So what does this mean for the justice system? Now we all know that Biden's record on criminal justice has not been good. He's the one who pushed for and passed the crime bill, and that has led to mass incarceration, which disproportionately impacts people of color in America. But here's what he has to say about decriminalizing marijuana.
I support use of medical marijuana. But here's the deal. Ladies and gentlemen, anybody who's been convicted, it should not be a crime. It should be, to the extent that it exists and anyone ever been convicted of the use of marijuana and put in jail, they should be immediately released. Their record should immediately be expunged, immediately. So it should not be a crime. It should be a civil penalty to the extent that it exists in states that don't choose to legalize. And nationally, I'm not prepared to push for the legalization. Medical marijuana, yes, but the legalization of marijuana for recreational use, in fact, is one that I need more data to make that judgment. But no one should go to jail for it, period.
No, look, I agree with him. No one should go to jail for it, okay? So I guess a little bit of improvement in that part of the answer. But no one should have to deal with any penalty. It's your body, it's your body. So if you decide that you wanna use marijuana either for medicinal use or recreational use, that should be your business. This is the definition of big government. This is when you don't need government officials. Look, I don't need the government to pass a law that prevents me from drinking bleach, right? This is a point that John brings up all the time, right? But like the idea that we have all these legalized substances, whether it's tobacco or alcohol or whatever, like why do we treat those substances, which are far more harmful to your body, why do we treat them differently from marijuana? No one should pay any penalty. There shouldn't be any type of like misdemeanor, nothing. We should expunge people's records. We should get them out of prison if they're in prison, and let's move on with our lives. What are we doing? So
look, to give credit to Biden there, because we're fair, it is good that he's in favor of medical marijuana. It's late, and when he was in power, that would have been a nice thing to actually push for when he was in power. It's good that he's saying nobody should go to jail for it. But like Anna, I'm tired of the propaganda. Like that marijuana is some sort of like dangerous thing that's totally different and totally worse than beer and tobacco. No, those two are worse. It's just a lot of people and a lot of companies make money off of those drugs. And so they're like, yeah, those drugs are great. Don't worry about those drugs, right? Oh, that drug, that's actually natural. It's harder to make money off of it. No, that's really bad and weird and wrong. It's nothing but propaganda, I'm sick of it. But most importantly, that war on drugs put basically millions of Americans into jail. Millions. We took their freedom away for basically having the equivalent of a beer. It's one of the biggest injustices in American history. And Joe Biden was one of the fathers of that movement. So, I mean, you want to talk about Joe come lately at this point. Thanks, but no thanks, Joe. Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.